Hello again. Are you into cannibalism, Janice?
Not at all, because I'm a complete vegetarian.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I've got news for you. This bloke is. He's written and performs a one-man play called Cannibal. Let's find out more. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Ian Smith. Of all the subjects in the world, why cannibalism?
Well, first of all, it's the sort of subject that everybody's got an opinion about. And I happen to know, for example, that you're a vegetarian. Is that correct?
Yeah, I just said
as
that,
you say, right, you are?
Yeah.
The most important thing about if you're preparing somebody for the pot is that vegetarians are actually the best ones.
Well, thanks very much.
People who eat meat just basically don't taste very well. So you'd be first in the pot, yeah.
You think that different people have different tastes then?
It's absolutely true. For something you probably don't know about yourself is that whether you smoke or not, as a Western European, you will taste of tobacco.
Really? Like smoky bacon?
Absolutely. we all taste like smoky bacon.
Are you a vegetarian yourself, Ian?
Since I've been doing this show, I've given up eating animal meat.
Is that a fact?
You can take that however way you want.
I don't wish to be rude, mate. I don't wish to be rude, mate, but you do look a bit like Sweeney Todd, the demon barber, don't you, eh?
I need a demon barber.
I'm told this play was banned in Brighton.
There was a bit... They tried to ban it. It was unsuccessful. The ex-mayor of Brighton tried to ban the play because I featured some live babies in it. They were my friends' babies, to illustrate a point. They didn't go in a cooking pot. And the ex-mayor, who hadn't seen the show, tried to ban it, and it hit the national press, and it didn't work, really, so tough luck.
Is that the one
and now you're performing at the ICA in London.
That's right.
That's the, Janice, very posh, the Institute of Contemporary Art.
I've been there to see Jesus and Mary chain and buns like that.
That's the right.
Well, Ian's there from the 29th of August till the 2nd of September with Cannibal.
I think it opens on the 30th, actually. I think I made a mistake there.
Is that right?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry about that.
Well, as you say, it's the ultimate taboo, isn't it?
It is.
Cannibalism. The one thing we never, ever talk about unless we have to.
Yeah.
But your show does feature some celebrated case histories.
That's right.
So, Doctor, we shall proceed to go through the inventory. Who's this bloke, Sawney Bean? Right. What did he do?
Sawney Bean's a very famous cannibal. He comes from... You see, most people think it's a very sort of exotic thing that doesn't happen, you know, would never happen in the United Kingdom or whatever.
Never.
Sawney Bean in the 18th century was a Scottish guy who lived on the north coast, and he and his wife, he was a bit of a thug. He wasn't very popular. He left his hometown, lived in a cave in the Galloway coast, and over a period of 25 years, they incestuously made a tribe of 48 people who never left the cave apart from to go out on hunting parties. They knocked over wayfarers that were in the area and took them back home to the cave and ate them. So for 25 years, a clan of 48 people lived on nothing but human meat.
Good
That was in the
Lord.
18th century.
Do we know how many he saw off?
He probably
Sawney
saw
Bean?
something. Sawney saw off somewhere between 400 and 800 people.
Good Lord, in the 18th century.
Yeah.
Then, of course, we have the wonderful case, even I've heard of this, Captain Dudley and the cabin boy.
That's right.
Richard Parker.
Captain Dudley is still cited as a legal case because it's the last one that went down on the books of cannibalism. And basically they got shipwrecked, and there were 4 men in a little lifeboat, one of whom was the cabin boy Richard Parker.
Oh, me dear.
Richard Parker was very sick and on his way out, so Captain Dudley took the initiative of actually preceding his demise, and they tucked into him and lasted for another 28 days on the cabin boy. When he returned to England, he was accused of murder, but the public actually appealed against his death sentence, and they were all given 6 months in jail. Although there was a nice twist in the tale. Captain Dudley actually emigrated to Australia, where the name Cannibal Tom followed him, and he was the first man to die of bubonic plague in Australia.
Good Lord.
It all caught up with him in the
That's
end.
fair, yeah.
There you go.
I was going to say, just right for those mad Aussies, eh? Captain Cannibal Tom.
There you go.
That was as recently as 1884, that case.
That's right.
Of course, we've all heard of the Andes plane crash in 1972. How many people were eaten in that? They were there up in the Andes, freezing temperatures, no food, no sign of any rescue. They were there for weeks.
That's it. The interesting thing about that case is that all the people that were on that plane that crashed were very respectable, middle class and very religious people. And they actually had to come to the conclusion that they used their religious beliefs to justify what they were doing. They didn't kill anybody. Yeah. Basically, the bodies were in deep freeze in the snow. They were all friends and relatives, and eventually they had to decide whether to eat the bodies of their friends or die, and they chose that, fortified by their religious beliefs. Yeah.
And so they had no guilt, because they felt...
After it affected them badly, of course, for the first week.
Some of them finished up in mental homes.
Yeah, that's right. It did affect
Let's have a learned discussion on that. Could it ever be justified in any circumstances, cannibalism, like the Andes plane crash? Because the victims were already dead, weren't they? They died in the crash.
My show deals more with things where people are eating people who are already dead.
You're not too keen, interested.
Killing. No. But the basic thing is that the interesting thing is that I would imagine anybody in here, from my research, I think you've got about 4 days before you start considering cannibalism very seriously. Most people start eating dead bodies after 4 days if they're available.
Right. So we couldn't really rationally think about it
morally
unless we've been hungry for 4 days.
Exactly.
Well, what about you, Jazz? You wouldn't, would you? Look at the face on it. My goodness. I mean, that's a true vegetarian then. Can anyone in the audience ever contemplate if they were shipwrecked or were in a plane crash that they might to save their own life? Yes? Hands up those who think they might after 4 days.
4 days doesn't seem like a long time.
It doesn't exactly, but in most of the cases,
only two out of our vast audience. There are hundreds and hundreds of them out there. At least 27. Yeah. Tell me, you think that Spielberg and Jaws has a bearing on cannibalism?
Well, those kind of movies actually have big monsters. I mean, it's all based about monsters. My main thrust in presenting this idea is that cannibals aren't actually monsters. You know, I mean, you could sensationalise
It's really the fear of being eaten comes into Jaws.
Well, yeah, that's right. But, I mean, once you're dead, you're dead.
I'll tell you a story. Ian, I'll tell you a story for your show. This is a true story about cannibalism. It's a missionary in Africa, and he's captured by cannibals, and they've got him in the pot, and he's coming to the boil, you know, and all the natives are dancing around doing a war dance, and the old witch doctor's there, and one of the dancers keeps breaking off and going over to the missionary, hitting him on the head. Boom, 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 and they all dance around, and he goes back, wallop. Does this 3 or 4 times. The witch doctor says, stop, stop. What's the matter? He stops the dancer, he goes up to this bloke, he says, what's up with you? What's the matter with you? Why do you keep going and hitting him? He said, he's eating all the carrots. Well, Ian Smith, I never thought I'd hear myself say this, but I wish you joy. I think you're a very interesting character. He's the sort of bloke who could make lockjaw palatable to the public. So may your play have a good run. Cannibals with Ian Smith. That grand old veteran of showbiz, Reg Varney, will be joining us after this.